All right, going through and assessing this truck for essentially reconditioning or rehabilitation. We've done several videos. It's finally made it in here to where I can get kind of serious at it. Some of the probably negatives about the truck are going to be the fender wells and a little bit of the rockers. Now, when I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to be able to fix this or not, this is a magnet. I want to see or kind of feel, and you'll just have to take my word for it, how much metal is in there. So the ridge is still pretty good. Somebody has attempted a repair on this. Now, I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't just drag it, you know, in areas that I'm not planning on shooting. But that shows me that, yeah, it's a little thin there, but there's still some material in there. Where you kind of get to start telling somebody's been here before is this is Bondo. This is mud right here. It doesn't stick right there, but if I come this way, so not a ton of it, just a poor quality repair. Now what I do on these is I will, you know, grind that out. This paint here is pretty good. I might blend it up into here, but basically I'm going to get all that out of there, and there's a chemical called navel jelly. And so I get all the cracked and nasty stuff out, and then I, you know, fill it back in with either body fill or fiberglass or a mix of both. So as we kind of come along and look at the rest of the truck, I don't know if it'll come through there. A little bit of hail, but mainly just right there is where I see it. We've talked about the interior of the truck. It's in very nice shape. I was thinking, well, maybe it won't need tires, but it's definitely going to. The date code on these tires is 2016, and they're not all that fantastic anyway. I think the biggest thing, and the reason somebody got rid of this, is they thought it was a bright idea to put comp performance camshafts. Now, I've not seen it. I know they sell those. The truck doesn't idle very well. They're pretty aggressive as far as their overlap. But I did run a relative compression check on it, and I'm pretty happy with what I see. You know, nothing really big variation. So pretty happy with kind of what that looks like as we kind of run through it. So I've driven the truck. The tranny shifts out good. The fluid looks really good on it. Coolant definitely is due to be serviced, but we're going to have the majority of the front of this engine apart, doing chains and new camshafts, factory camshafts. Definitely going to need a new battery. So quite a bit of work under the hood there. I told you guys it was from 2016. I don't know if that'll show up in there, but the 13th week of 16. So definitely going to need some tires. Inspection is not that old. It passed, looks like September of 24 here in the state of Missouri. Rest of the truck's in, like I said, pretty nice shape, keyless entry. Similar deal here, and there is some where somebody did another poor repair there, and then obviously same thing over the wheel well. And when I raise it up here, you will see there needs to be some attention in the rockers. They just didn't do a very good job right in here. It's unfortunately, as old as these trucks are getting, I'm starting to see that more and more, but you know, the truck's not all beat up. It does have a ding right there. Bear with me just a minute. We're gonna go ahead and raise the truck up. Kind of get a better look underneath of it. This is how I evaluate what I'm gonna put, you know, the time, effort in, you know, resources, money, of how much the truck's gonna take to get it back to a good working order. And then, you know, really what will the truck be worth once it's in that shape. So typically I go through the timing chains on every one of them. I do a variable valve timing delete on it with an upgrade on the oil pump. So one of those things that is just part of me rehabbing this vintage F150. And so I had talked to you that the rockers were going to need some work. Once I got it up on the rack, I could see that, but I'm gonna be working in this area anyway, so not really a big deal. As we kind of look up under here, still very structural. It's got a matching spare in it. I thought that was interesting. It does have, up in there is your fuel pump module. It does have the original one, which surprises me. That was a failure point that I typically upgrade. Most of the exhaust is stock. Small leak right there. Let's see if I can, small leak right in there. I don't know if that comes through in the video. Does have aftermarket cats. I'm assuming it's had some tuning done. We do have a few leaks down here, but again, all of this is going to be off as far as oil pan comes off for the timing chain replacement. I am going to go ahead and put a new AC system on it. I have a lot of dye showing up right in there. But other than that, with the way the truck drives, I'm in pretty good shape with it. Somebody's done the full drive actuators already. Aftermarket lower ball joints. There's no play in the uppers, but it sure looks like somebody's done those. I may go ahead and put a set of quick struts on it on both sides, and this truck will be ready to go. Somebody has done brakes all the way around on it, rotors and pads, so I think we're in good shape there. But that's kind of what I look at on these vintage F-150s, and what, you know, if the interior is nice, we do have some cosmetic stuff that's going to need to happen, but this is my evaluation and kind of what I plan to do, which would be chains, reseal the majority of the engine. I typically don't pull the transmission if there's not a need in there. There is a leak there, probably between the transmission and transfer case. I may pull that and put a seal between those two. Once I get it cleaned up, I'll assess that situation a little bit better. More often than not, I have a lot of front end work, but somebody's done all that on this one already. So a good set of tires and some maintenance on the rest of the fluids is what I plan to do on this one. If you guys have any more insights on the 543 valve, I'd love to hear about it in the comments, but that's what I see on this one, and we're gonna get started on it.